Hello there, welcome to Klein Farm Channel. Today I'm at the Cub Barn in close to Lillington, Fuquay Arena, North Carolina. It's the first time I've ever been here. Had a lot of friends come here and say it was real nice, so I figured I'd come check it out, look at it, and here we go. It started raining right 2 minutes before we got here, so I'm hoping it stops some. Trying to stay out of the rain. Some plows, scoop. Drag harrow, mower. That's cool. That's a really big heavy duty disc plow. So first thing you see when you walk in the door. Right now.
Hello, I'm Craig Center, and we have the Cub Barn located in central North Carolina in Harnett County. And today we're going to do a little video walk through our collection and explain our tractors and implements that we have for people to see.
There you go, Waylon, you can do it.
Take it when you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, we'll start by talking about the long stripe series of farm Cubs or international Cubs. These started mid-year 75 and wound up in the last year of 79 that they made the Cub. It's a 15 horsepower rated version of the Cub. I understand they achieved that by the dome-shaped piston, zenith carburetor, and some other things like a little different intake and things of that nature. This is the 76 long stripe, and we are fortunate to have all 5 years of the long stripe Cubs in our collection. And again, that was mid-75 through 79. This one is the 19...
You're good.
This is the 1964. This is kind of a transition Cub, if you will. It was the first full year of the square grill Cub, and it was the last year of the farm designation. In 65, they changed to the international Cub designation. This one is the red version. They also made a red and white 1964 model. And the story goes that a company in Canada ordered that to be painted that color scheme for the top shut color that people were familiar with. They canceled the order and it was all the way up through Norfolk, Virginia, and the dealers, I understand, just put them out to Harvester put them out to the dealers for them just to sell that way. And today it's just a novelty, a collectible thing, and we'll show you one of those in just a little bit. This Cub here does have the fast hitch on it. The fast hitch started in the 50-year time frame, and most of the later model Cubs you see will normally have fast hitches on them most of the time. We don't have a Cub Cadet collection. This is the only one we have. It's a unique one for the spirit of 76. Harvester put these out in mid-75 and 76 to commemorate the bicentennial. It's just a collectible thing now. It was a Model 76 Cadet that they used for that. Fiberglass hood, most times they got brittle and busted and broke. You can see mine has some damage there as well. They did come originally with a white seat. You have to get a upholstery fabricator to do that now, and I just hadn't gone to the expense of doing that. This is the number 2 cart right here. They had 4 different versions of the Cub Cadet cart, 1 through 4, and this is the number 2. Seems to be more popular and more available than the others are. The signage up here, I had a friend of mine duplicate those from the original advertisement and price range for the Cub. Funny story, this one here that says $545, we had that sign in front of a restored Cub at the state fair at the tractor tent for International Harvester Chapter 37. And 2 high school age guys come up and looked at that tractor, they looked at that sign, they got out their cell phone and made a phone call or 2. And then they came up to the table where us old gray-headed guys were standing. They said, "Sir, we want to buy that tractor over there that's for sale for $545." We said, "Well, boys, you're about 70 years too late for that price."
I know, I saw that sign at the Cub Fest last year, not
Yes.
this year. And
Yes.
my wife said the same thing. Well, that can't be right. I said, no, that's from back in the day. That ain't from today.
In 1947, when the Cubs hit the market, $545 was a lot of money.
It was a lot.
Today.
Because the average pickup was like $2,000 back then.
This is my nephew, my son-in-law's uncle's 464 that he was able to buy from his cousins a couple of years ago. And he's always had a dream to own this tractor because it was a family tractor and he restored it for shows. He also bought another 464 from a local tobacco farmer, and he's going to keep that one original. And we farm part-time with hay and things, and he's going to use that to help do the farm work with that kind of thing. But he did a good job restoring it. We had a church friend that did the spray painting for us. But he did a real good job on that one.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Say, the boys aren't happy. They want to be in here sitting on.
Son-in-law's other tractor is his grandfather's Cub, 1949 model. He restored this a couple of years ago, and this is a tractor that he grew up on. And to be honest, he probably thinks more of this Cub, his grandpa's Cub, than he does my daughter. I'm just picking about that, but it does mean a lot to him, and he was glad to get it restored to take to shows and things. These 2 long stripes. This is the 78 model, and this is the 79. I'm going to probably leave these 2 original because they look decent enough original. This one came with the turf tires and the tire chains, and it had the 54A front mount blade. And on the back of this one, I have mounted the Brookfield Mott Cub buzzsaw. This one runs directly off of the PTO, as this other side will show you. But you would put the wood in this. You would put the wood, of course, here, and then push it into the saw to cut it in short lengths. OSHA would definitely not approve this today. Originally, it did have a little metal strip guard over it. But a lot of these implements are hard to find. They got destroyed or modified or scrapped over the years.
I've never seen a saw like this in this good a shape.
Brookfield Mott made this version. There's a fast hitch version that I just got hold of this past week, and we'll look at that later as we walk around. As I mentioned, the 75 long strike, there's only about 500 of these in the world. They're hard to find. Both of these tractors here have been gone through mechanically with upgrades and adjustments and things, and they're in real good shape mechanically. This one, the 79 here, it would be a shame to restore a tractor like this, as good as it looks original. I think in this hobby, we've kind of going through a trend of keeping more things original now and not painting everything like we used to. And it's good to see the original patina on some of these older tractors. Don't have a real big tool collection. I put what tools that I do have on a board so they could be displayed and shown. I tell you, IH tool collecting is an expensive component of this hobby. The new style ratchet sets and wrenches, they go for up in the hundreds and thousands of dollars. And, they demand a high price on the collector market. That's one thing that is evident in this hobby if you become interested in international harvester collecting. As most of you are aware, Harvester made everything for the farm family, the rural family, from kitchen appliances to tools to, of course, farm equipment. You name it, they made it. And what that equates to today, in today's world, is a lot of things for us gray-headed guys to spend money on. This is the Model 100 manure spreader. This predates the Cub actually, but the size of it is conducive for the Cub to handle. They also made a Model 200, which is a larger capacity. I restored this a few years ago, but I didn't put the floor chain back in it. The manure spreader and the Cub trailer, you can see it's got a wood strip on the bottom, and when I restored these, I had rust out on the bottom panels, and I didn't want to replace my panels, so I used wood to cover that up with. This sign here on the spreader, if you think about that, you'll get a chuckle. People look at that sign at tractor shows and they'll sit there and thank me, and then they'll bust out laughing. The Cub trailer, there's 3 different model versions of this. It's a dump trailer, and they won't sold a whole lot south of the Mason-Dixon line. Harvester had a hard time selling some of the specialty items to Southerners because we were noted for being shade tree mechanics, and we would fabricate or make a lot of these things. To find a lot of these implements, as I will allude to in just a minute, you have to travel north where these were marketed more. But these were shipped mostly north to ball fields and cemeteries and things of that nature. This is a rare implement piece. This is the Ford Mac Cub hay rake. It's the drop rake that came along before the real type rakes and wheel rakes. But this was made for the Cub back in the 50s. This one, I was able to find one with all the mountain brackets on it. But this is a piece you don't ever see. If you look in the center front, it's still got the serial tag on it. And walking through the implements, this here is kind of a rare piece, the Cub 3 field cultivator. This was the drawbar mount cultivator, spring tooth cultivator. And common piece in the South, the Cub 22 Sycamore. You see these and the plows and the disc in cultivators, and that's about the major implements you'll find for the Cub in the South. These were used an awful lot back in the day to cut hay. They still have a use today in a market for folks to buy them to cut around ponds and things like ditches and things of that nature. This is a John Blue stalk cutter, a non-IH piece, but was very common to use with the Cubs and other offsets to chop up the tobacco stalks in the late summer. This is the drawbar mount bush and bog disc. This is the 28A model, and I've got the fast hitch version down there. But this attaches to the drawbar itself. I've got all three versions now of the Cub disc plow. These two here, the Cub 153 disc plow mounts to the fast hitch, and this is the drawbar mount one. And outside in a few minutes we'll look at the other version, the trailing type, the 151 Cub disc plow. These two pieces here, or in fact these three pieces, let me get around the other side. These three implements here, the cultivating type implements, the fast hitch versions, these are kind of rare. The rotary hoe is a real hard one to find, and also probably one of the rarest implements is the Cub F4 peg tooth harrow. You just don't ever see these pop up for sale. The Cub F3 spring tooth harrow, that one is a little bit more available, but these are the fast hitch versions of soil preparation implements to get soil ready for planting. This is the Cub F11 two-way mow-board plow. In Harnett County, we didn't use these. These were used a lot on sloping land where you wanted to turn and go right back down the same furrow when you were plow breaking land. This is a very common implement for the Cub. You'll find these a lot. The Cub 194 fast hitch plow. A lot of times when you find Cubs with fast hitches, the plow is one of the things that usually comes with it. Then behind it here is the slatted version, the slatted mow-board plow. We didn't use those in the sandy loam soils where we are. Back in the Piedmont and through the mountain regions, they would use the slatted mow-boards, but so the clay loam soil would slide off of them better. It's just not a version of the plow that we saw and used in Harnett County here. These are the two versions of the middle buster for the Cub. The F17 is the fast hitch version. These are, you tend to be able to find these a little easier than the one behind the Cub 16 middle buster. That's the drawbar mount one, the non-fast hitch version. And those are really hard to find of that model. This is the fast hitch version of the bush and bog disc you looked at a while ago. This is the F38 model that I restored a few years ago. And behind it is the model 100 blade, fast hitch blade. Here you see the 193 drawbar mount mow-board plow. Again, this is a very common piece for the older pre-fast hitch Cubs. Detco made mowers for Cubs. This is the C2 fast hitch rotary mower, they call it. Behind it is a rare piece. A company named Howard made a rotavator for a Cub, and that's the L28 model rotavator. To use a rotavator, though, in a field operation, you need what's called a speed reducer, where it reduces the PTO speed. And those speed reducers are really high value. They'll bring as much as the rotavators will if you can find them. Back here is a very popular piece, the 184 fast hitch planter. They're still in demand today because people use them to plant corn and things in vegetable gardens. They demand a pretty good price too if they're in good shape, because they still have a use for gardening. This is another piece that predates the Cub. the 4E hammer mill. It's the smallest version of hammer mill. And I've demonstrated this some at shows with one of the Cubs. And the Cub does have enough horsepower to power this small hammer mill for grinding corn and that kind of thing for feed purposes. If you can see back here, we now have both versions of the corn sheller. This is the all steel version that came out later. And here, I just recently acquired this piece from Pennsylvania. This is the all wood version of the International corn sheller. I'm going to leave this one original because it has the stenciling on it. It has a little wood deterioration, but I'm going to clean it up and keep it original. Most of the time you can't find these intact because the wood would rot away, of course.
We had one similar to that one, but I don't think it was the exact same back at the farm in Pennsylvania.
Different companies made these, John Deere and some others. This is a cream separator. Harvester made these. This is an example of the variation of their things they made for the farm family. Back in the early 1900s, until the creameries came into being in the 50s, every farm home probably had one of these, where it would separate the cream from the raw milk. This is the Lily brand, one of the earliest versions that Harvester come out with back in the early 1900s. Up here is a couple of interesting things. This banner is a reproduction of the original Cub advertisement paper banner that they had back in the late 40s. A friend of mine, a collector friend in Ohio, bought an original paper banner, and he had to pay dearly for it because it's an original shape in the original folder. But he made some vinyl reproductions of it. Of course, that's the vinyl one. And he was gracious enough to let me purchase one for the Cub Barn. Behind it is a Cub Cadet banner that I found in the original pack. We have a few small items in the Cub Barn collection. I put together these two boards for teaching purposes. Being an ag teacher and a teacher at heart, I'll always enjoy sharing information with people, but I put this one together to show all the different year models and the style versions of the Cub and the years that that particular style came to be. This one here, I put this together with all the different offset farmalls that were used in tobacco production through the South. And I included the years that each model was used. Most people don't realize that the Farmall 100 and the Farmall 130 were only made a couple of years apiece. If North Carolina ever had a state tractor, like a state bird or something of that nature, in my opinion, it would be the 140. It's the standard tractor of tobacco production back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and probably more of those than any other offset throughout the state. This is a sickle bar knife sharpener. It actually clamped right on the wheel of the old pull type sickle bar cutters, and we sharpened the knives on that. Harvester, again, they had so much variety in the product that they marketed and sold. This is an air pump that you would actually hook up to one of the spark plug terminals, and the engine compression would be used to pump up tires.
That's really cool.
But they sold this in a kit like this, that you could get air in the tire in the field till you could get home. We do have a few toys in our collection. Max Armstrong, most people in agriculture are familiar with him and the great career he had in farm broadcasting. Mac came to the Cub Barn a few weeks ago, and he gifted us with this spec cast Cub with the planter unit on it. This was from the Farm Progress Show in 2017, but Max gifted us with that. You see Max tractor shed on it. And up here is another gift from Max. This is a Super H. As I understand, Max has a Super H in his tractor collection. He has a few antique tractors, and he now resides in North Carolina. He's retired now, and he's also a member of the International Harvester Chapter 37 Tractor Club. And he comes to a few events with us and makes some appearances and does a few parades and things of that nature as time will allow him to. We have a few small items up here in the case. Things like the tire gauge. These two Cub models here are the plastic versions that a company made for snap together kits. Again, Harvester had all the family in mind. They made these little how to play baseball cards that they would give to the boys when they go with their daddy to the dealership for parts. Up under here is a reflector kit that Harvester sold with trucks. That was standard equipment with the trucks they sold. And this is an old style toolbox and an International Harvester oiler can there. 5 years in a row, the North Carolina FFA Association did a Tractor of the Year, and this is those sets there. I have collected manuals on all of our implement pieces. I have settled for reprints on some of the manuals. Originals are hard to find, and but we do try to have a paper reference to every piece that we have in our implement and tractor collection. This is a popular book for Farmall Cub enthusiasts that was put out a few years ago. And this is another popular book for Farmall Cub fans. Okay, we'll walk outside now and look at a few pieces out under the shelter. I mentioned the red and white Cub that was put out in 1964, a real rare paint scheme. This is an original red and white, however, it's a 1972 model, but it still depicts the color scheme of the red and white Cub. This is the 77 version of the long strike. This tractor does look rough, but it's pretty solid mechanically, and we use it to do our vegetable gardening with, and probably going to keep it as a work Cub. At some point in time, I might upgrade and get a more showable 77 long strike, but these old tractors still do their job.
Yep. Yeah, I've never seen one red and white before.
Yeah, it's a real rare one. Occasionally, dealers would put out a red and white based on a customer order, or they would order one that way themselves for sales promotions. I understand this one here originally came through the dealer in Carthage, North Carolina. Riddle Tractor is where this one originally was sold through years ago.
Oh.
This is a fast hitch carryall. The #1 carryall, and we use it for spring, as you see here. And I also mount the 4E hammer mill on this when I'm going to demonstrate it at shows. But a carryall is a real handy item to have for different purposes. but it is a very popular international harvester plow, the little genus. This is one of the things that Harvester was known for back in the earlier years. And they made a 2 and a 3 plow model of this as well. But they sold thousands of these when they first put them out. These were used for horse drawn and tractor drawn as well. And later versions of the little genus had rubber tires on them. A few more implements as we wind up. This is an International Harvester grain drill. Again, this predates the Cub. This one is a narrow width model, and that's what got my interest in this one. It's narrow, that would be more of a size fit for the Cub. This is the 189 reversible plow. This is the drawbar mount version of the earlier F11 plow we looked at inside the Cub Barn. But this mounts up to the drawbar itself. And again, these were used in Piedmont mountain regions, hillside plows, where you could go back up and down the same furrow. This is the Yaylot Cub Scoop. This is specific for the Cub, and it mounts to the rear to the rear axle housing. And now there is a fast hitch version that we'll look at in just a little bit later, made by a different company. But this is made by the Yaylot company for the Cub only. You don't see many of these that survived. This is the 23A pull type gang disc for the Cub. No lift mechanism, it just pulled. And this is the belly mount version of the Danco mower. A while ago we looked at the fast hitch version. This is a 1950 Cub that a friend of mine sold to me, kind of as a parts tractor. A retired friend of mine, he is kind of using this as a retirement hobby, but he has got it running now, so it does run. But this is a 6-volt version, a 1950 model, no 52 model. This is my son-in-law's 251 planter that he bought at an auction a while back. He plans to restore this and show it with his 464 at shows for the next show season. I think he's planning on doing that this fall and winter. The other two implements that I picked up last week, this is the 151 trailing disc plow that hooks up behind and operates from the rear of the Cub tractor. And this is the fast hitch version of the Cub buzzsaw that Brookfield Mott made. This one is the Model 22. This fast hitch buzzsaw are really hard to find. I've only seen one or two at shows, and you never see this fast hitch version pop up for sale. So this is a rare piece that we were fortunate to get hold of for our collection. This one still has the little identification decal on it, and when I restore this, I'll certainly leave that intact.
Okay.
This is the Stockton Hydro fast hitch scoop. These are not Cub Pacific, of course. Any fast hitch this. This is the fast hitch model of the stock and hydro scooter. That is synonymous with Cub use. They also made a 3-point hitch version of this scooter as well. I just got through restoring this recently. I hadn't gotten it in the mail yet, but a friend of mine is reproducing a serial tag that was on the back of these.
Yeah, it looks brand new.
I restore 3 or 4 implements every fall and winter when it gets cooler, of course. But I kind of enjoy it as my fall and winter hobby out here in the shop. I hope you've enjoyed your brief video tour of our Cub Barn collection. We're located in Harnett County, North Carolina. Look for us on Facebook and reach out to us and private message me if you want to come by and visit. I'm around most of the time, and we would love to have you come by and visit the Cub Barn. Just private message me and I'll send you the address. Thank you.